Good evening. This side Rahul Magan here as a Group Chief Executive Officer Treasury Consulting. As we speak, Treasury Consulting is a multinational headquartered group based out Singapore. We are a multinational hedge fund. Rather precisely speaking, we are a multi-asset and multinational hedge fund. By multi-asset, I mean we actively covering multiple assets across the globe. And by multinational, I mean we taking position in three continents of the globe. But like I did repeated many a times, and I would like to repeat again and again, which is we are a proprietary hedge fund. By proprietary, I mean no third party. I repeat, no third party can invest capital in our fund. We do not invite any form of capital, whether it is equity or debt, from the third parties. Today, I would be covering a very interesting topic. Rather, I would say I am covering this topic from the last 2.5 years on my YouTube channel, and I'm very pleased that the predictions which we made covering this financial institution, now this prediction is on the table. Alternatively speaking, even the compromised media like Bloomberg, who always invite the bankers from this financial institution, today on 27th October 2022 agreed to the fact that Credit Suisse is the cheapest financial institution in the European Union. Now, I don't treat this as a shame, because shame is not a word which is designed for Credit Suisse. Because if you look at the last 10 to 15 years history of Credit Suisse, which is, by the way, very well available on Google, but unfortunately people do not do the Googling, people do not do the research on Google. But if you do your active research on Google about the Credit Suisse, you would get to know that in the last 10 to 15 years, there is hardly any fraud, scandal, manipulation, corruption, market rigging, fake investors, calls, and there is hardly anything which Credit Suisse not engaged to. Guys, today, I would say when 2.5 years ago I started covering about Credit Suisse, people laughed. Rather, I still remember few comments came that you are talking about the second largest financial institution of Switzerland. And I was adamant that people understand this or they do not understand this. But one thing is very clear, that there is nothing known as too big to fail. History is witness that the too big to fail is just a psychological barrier which we created in the mind. Now, a very important thing which I would like to highlight as far as the Credit Suisse is concerned is that Credit Suisse is turning out to be in a very, very difficult situation. Now, by very, very difficult situation, I mean to say that today, 27th October 2022, when Credit Suisse declared their results, You would be very surprised to know that they incurred a loss of $4.1 billion. You heard me very right. The loss is to the tune of 4.1 billion US dollars, which definitely is not a small amount as far as I am concerned. So 4.1 billion loss, it's being recorded by a financial institution whose name is Credit Suisse, whose share price is merely few cents above $4, who paid, I don't know, a countless amount in terms of fines, regulatory investigations in the last several years. You know, guys, few weeks ago, I made a video that Credit Suisse is looking to cut approximately 5,000 jobs. When I downloaded this data from Bloomberg, the article was stating 4,000 jobs, but few articles were also available in the public who were suggesting 5,000 jobs. So I mentioned both in my videos that Bloomberg is talking about 4,000 jobs while few articles talking about 5,000 jobs. And I clearly mentioned at that point of time that time would be telling how much it would be. As we speak, even if we go conservative, Credit Suisse is cutting around 4,000 jobs by 2023. Today, I got another article on the internet and I was like, oh my God, Credit Suisse is cutting 9,000 jobs. 9,000 jobs, which precisely means if I go with the previous estimate of 5,000 jobs, approximately 80% more than that estimate. Right, you heard me very right, which is 83% more than that estimate. 9,000 jobs. Because it's a common sense. Common sense is that if you are incurring a losses to the tune of 4.1 billion US dollars in a quarter, which precisely means approximately more than 1.3 billion per month, common sense, you have to reduce the cost. There is no alternate which is left before you not to reduce the cost. You have to reduce the cost. And in the financial industry, when you have no manufacturing, no big plants, power station, raw materials, and all these things, the only element of the cost is the human being. It's a common sense, whether it's a IT industry or a banking industry, or to an extent you would say, your consulting industry, just like the big fours, the BCG, Boston Consulting Group, and all, the biggest inventory, the cost is the human being, because you are not a manufacturing concern. Similarly is the Credit Suisse. If we go with the example of Credit Suisse, and this 9,000 figure I have taken from the public space. So this is not a very confidential information only I have and people do not have. This is something we need to appreciate and understand. Now we really need to understand that Credit Suisse is facing fine after fines. There is hardly any doubt that Credit Suisse is not paying the fines. And if you're thinking that in the later stages, probably in a year or so or a couple of years or so, Credit Suisse, would not end up more fines, then you are extremely mistaken. Very important thing, we need to understand that Credit Suisse share price, which used to be $22, I repeat, which used to be $22. And I'm not sure which all financial institutions, maybe mutual funds, maybe ETFs, or maybe ITFs, or maybe the passive funds who have taken positions in the Credit Suisse. From $22, Credit Suisse is now approximately $4, which means near about, not near about, in fact, less than 20% of what it used to be, which means Credit Suisse market capitalization, in short, we can say, eroded 80%. I repeat, 80% in the last, I would say, 1 year. And do you know the beauty of this? The beauty of this, Credit Suisse is still operating in India. Every day on few selective Indian business channels, Credit Suisse came and they are giving the trading calls on that channel, that too in public, which means either you can buy this stock or you can buy this stock, you can cover this stock, you can cover this stock, you can hold this stock, and so on and so forth. And then one thing which really surprising me always, let it be honest, is that a bank who did corruption, frauds, manipulations, market rigging, scandals, and fined by almost all regulatory agencies of the globe. I repeat, fined by almost all regulatory agencies of the globe. How can this financial institution be allowed? I repeat, how can this financial institution be allowed to operate in India? So, precisely, I mean to say, do we have any credentials left in India whereby the institution having tainted background, I repeat, having tainted background, should not be allowed to operate in India? But having said that, I'm sure even if Credit Suisse share price will reach to $2 or probably lesser than $2, while personally speaking, I am not going to be buying a single share of Credit Suisse, because from the last 2.5 years, I am consistently on my YouTube channel is repeating that Credit Suisse is moving towards default, because their annual reports are in public on their websites. We can easily download the annual reports and we can easily see that how much fines they paid in the last several years. To me, going forward of Credit Suisse won't be easy, because now Credit Suisse reached at a level when they need a strategic partner, and that too for a longer term. Today, on 27th October 2022, Bloomberg reported that Credit Suisse is looking for around 4 billion, yes, 4 billion worth of capital. Guys, 4 billion is not a small amount. Yes, for a compromised media, for paid analysts, for paid and corrupt media, 4 billion is definitely a small amount. But in a situation when the globe is already in recession, when the top corporates of the globe, which include Facebook, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Apple, they are either cutting the jobs or they are freezing the new hirings. We have seen that, according to the public information, that these big names either cut the job or they are more or less freeze, which is not a conducive signal. When the whole globe is recession And unfortunately, we are moving towards depression. That's a separate thing that most of the people, I repeat, most of the people do not wanted to acknowledge this. But acknowledgement or no acknowledgement, one thing which is always clear, at least to me, is that the depression is around the corner, which practically means that we cannot run away from depression. Keeping this as a backdrop, if we are expecting that Credit Suisse would easily get $4 billion, and especially after incurring a quarter loss of 4.1 billion, then we are highly mistaken. Because even if for a while, I assume Credit Suisse to get 4 billion of capital, which they are looking, it is nothing but the tip of an iceberg. Because the kind of regulatory fines they paid, the kind of shallow balance sheet they are having, the kind of job cuts, which is 9,000 as far as the public information is concerned. If we go with these things, then 4 billion may not able to sustain for a longer period of time. And God forbid, I repeat, God forbid, if the Russia Ukraine war escalate from here, which you know looks, because the Russian president openly did the nuclear drills, the whole world, the Western countries, the France, the NATO, and everyone watched that nuclear drills. If this matter escalates from here, it would have deep and denting impact on the European banking. It might be UBS, it might be Credit Suisse, it might be Standard Chartered, it might be Bank of England, or it might be any other bank of the globe. Henceforth, prediction turned true. Credit Suisse technically defaulted. I can say very soon Credit Suisse will have to have a wake up call, and that wake up call is either they need to wind up, which means they need to sell their asset, which Bloomberg already confirmed that Credit Suisse is looking to sell the asset, or probably some big bank, I'm not quoting any specific name, probably some big bank may came and they prefer to buy Credit Suisse as a whole. But generally, what I noticed in my life as a corporate treasurer, that banks never buy bank. They buy a piece of a bank which looks futuristic. Example, the asset management business, the wealth management business, probably the hedge fund business, probably the metal desk. So bank always prefer to buy the futuristic thing rather than buying the whole as a package. Have a strict vigil. Very soon we'll have more informations. I keep you posted. This is Rahul Magan from Treasury Consulting Group. You know my personal number, +91 9899 242 978. I repeat, +91 9899 242 978. Thank you. Have a great time ahead.